Smoke, Matt, and Preacher weren't looking forward to the darkness. It also meant the small army of gunmen that wanted them dead could get close enough to toss some torches onto the roof. When that happened, they could either stay inside and die from the smoke and fire, or they could go out that door with guns in their hands, fighting to the end, dealing out blazing death to their enemies. Not a single one of the three had to ponder the question. They knew what they were going to do. Unless they could figure out some way to turn the tables on the gunslinging bastards who had forced them to take shelter there. Preacher ran his fingers through his tangled white beard. He was dressed head to foot in buckskins and had a broad-brimmed leather hat thumbed back on thinning white hair. An eagle feather was stuck in the hatband. He had a Colt .44 holstered on his right hip and a sheathed bowie knife on his left. This was his 81st summer, but somewhere along the way he had become as timeless and ancient as the mountains, weathered slowly but hardly weakened. He could ride all day, he could whip men half his age, and he could drink just about anybody under the table. He'd been naught but a boy when he went west, and he had been there by and large ever since, for more than 6 decades. He was a mountain man, one of the last of that hardy breed. He was also something of a surrogate father to Smoke Jensen, having taken the boy under his wing when Smoke's own father, Emmett, had been killed. Smoke hadn't been known by that name then. He'd been given the name Kirby Jensen when he was born. Preacher was the one who had dubbed him Smoke that long-ago day when Kirby, Emmett, and Preacher had been ambushed by a Kiowa war party. Maybe it was because of the powder smoke that filled the air when Kirby Jensen received his baptism of fire, or maybe it was because his ash-blonde hair was almost the color of smoke. But whatever the reason, the handle stuck, and from that day forward, he'd been Smoke Jensen. He wasn't a boy any longer, but rather a man in the prime of life, just over 6 feet tall, with shoulders as broad as an axe handle. Down in Colorado, he had a damn fine ranch called the Sugarloaf, and an even finer wife named Sally. He had a reputation, too, as a man who was fast on the draw, maybe the fastest on the entire frontier. Smoke had no desire to live the life of a gunfighter, though. He drew the walnut-butted .44 on his hip only when he had to. But as many men had learned, to their short-lived but final regret, he didn't cotton to being pushed around. Just as Preacher had helped Smoke out when he was orphaned, so Smoke had taken in Matt Cavanaugh, who had lost his family at an even younger age. That was back in the days before Smoke had settled down, when he was still searching for gold in Colorado. He had found it, and since Matt helped him work the claim, Smoke felt that Matt deserved an equal share in it. He had also taught Matt everything that Preacher had taught him about how to survive on the frontier, and, more importantly, how to live his life as a decent, honorable man. When the time came for Matt to strike out on his own, as a tribute to the man who had become like an older brother to him, he had taken Smoke's last name, and ever since he'd been known as Matt Jensen. It was a name that was becoming more widely known, as Matt was drawn to danger and adventure like a moth to flame. He wasn't reckless, but he didn't back down when challenged. So the 3 men who waited in the stifling cabin in the Bighorn Mountains shared not a drop of common blood, and yet they were family. Bonds stronger than blood held them together, bonds forged by love, respect, and shared danger. Most of the time, each of them went their own way, especially Preacher and Matt, both of whom tended to be fiddle-footed. But distance didn't mean anything to such men. When one needed help, the others